Hi, Marty. Hi, Linnell. I used to see Linnell.
Can anyone hear me?
Hi, Sylvia, I can.
Oh, hi.
Yes, I can hear you.
Rochelle is still muted.
I can unmute myself.
Let's see, Marty Brown. Hold on. Hold on. I can change you to host. Okay. Let's see. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, there we go. Oh, can you hear me? All right.
Can hear you.
Okay. Okay.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
Well, we can begin. There's a quorum.
I'm unable to see Rachel, myself, or Chris on the screen, so I don't know that.
You can't see this, so you can't see the screen?
I see you and Linnell and Eileen.
Do you see
And-
a
That
block?
was just up.
Do you see a block, Rochelle Shara-Swat on the bottom or somewhere?
No, I do not.
I see her as a panelist.
I do too.
Yes, so do I.
This is a very unusual view for me. I can't see any video setting for myself. Are you sure I'm listed as a panelist and not an attendee?
Yes. Yeah, you're with us.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing just about anything other than 3 of you on the screen. Now I see Rachel.
And Catherine joined.
Okay.
Well,
I'm willing to start, but I will be a little handicapped.
I can see her.
And Chris is on,
Chris is not on.
but we do have a quorum, it's correct. So anyone have any advice? Catherine, any reason why I shouldn't be able to see myself? Can you help out here at all?
Is your camera on? Is
I
the
don't
little
even-
thing, do you have one of those little things that closes your camera on your computer?
No, I don't.
You could just try logging out. Sometimes just logging out and logging back in helps and it resolves the problem.
On my screen, she's listed as an attendee, not a panelist.
Oh. Did you join using that link that Linnell sent, the Zoom
Yes.
webinar link?
Yes.
Yes, please. That's for
Oh.
attendees.
yeah, she's listed as an attendee on here too, on
Can
mine.
someone promote me?
Um,
Linnell, can you have,
Marty, Marty, because I made her a
I
host.
just did. Wait, it just said it failed? Why did it fail? Promote to panelists.
Weird, because there's a box for Sylvia.
Sylvia will be joining the webinar as a panelist. Then it says failed to change role
Hold
to
on a second.
panelist.
You know what? Hold on a minute. I'm trying to make sure it's not open somewhere else with a different computer, but I don't think it is.
I mean, it's happened a few times. My daughter, it just happened to her the other day and we just logged out and logged back in. and
Okay.
it worked.
All right, I will do that. I really apologize for the delay for anyone in the public. I'll try again.
I can't seem to promote her either. It keeps giving me a failed message.
But you know what? It must have been, I think maybe the signing back on, because now her box is gone.
Yeah, she was gonna sign out and sign back in.
No, I understand, but her box was here as a panelist before. Now it's gone.
Sorry, you just froze.
Shows me as an attendee. Now Sylvia's back in, but she's Marty, because I'm an attendee also now. Can you go into the attendees and promote Sylvia?
Yeah.
Linnell, I don't see you as an attendee on the attendee list, but I see a KPPCSD.
I'll
which
try
is-
again, but
Me.
I keep getting,
Ah.
oh,
Well,
no, I got a failed message again for Sylvia. Let me try
oh my.
now.
Now she's an okay, yes, and she's an attendee.
I keep getting a failed to change role to panelist error. I don't know what else I can do. I don't know why that keeps happening.
Should I go out and try again?
Are you
Are
still a
you-
host?
No, I promoted Marty to host.
Chris
And
is
my-
not in the attendees.
Let me see if,
Because on my screen, it shows me as a panelist. I see Marty, Eileen, Catherine, Rochelle.
Linnell, I see you as a panelist, and then also I see a KPPCSD on the participants. And Sylvia still, of course, is a participant.
I don't know who the KPPCSD, because I changed my name. It says Linnell.
yeah, mine says KPPSCSD too.
Maybe you could
Right.
ask KPPCSD who he or she is.
Could I log out and log back in?
Well,
Well,
I think
if I log back out, and
Because it shows you as a host, as the host.
I have
Marty.
to find the link, because see, I originally logged in with on the agenda and you promoted me. So who sent us the panelist version? That was from Catherine?
That was the first one, yes.
Yeah, and it was just an email. It wasn't a calendar invite, was it?
let me find that email. I lined on with Linnell's, but let me send in Catherine's to Sylvia so she has it again.
You can't promote Chris either.
Is
I-
Chris on here?
I keep getting, yeah, I can't, I don't see Chris on my screen.
I don't see Chris on my screen
Uh,
either.
I don't see an email from Catherine.
You know what? I don't see that Sylvia was invited. I'm looking right now. I'm gonna invite her right this second. She wasn't invited as a panelist that I see on here. So let me put her in. I don't think she has the individual link. for whatever reason. I'm sorry if that, wait, no, she has. It says, oh, because she was the alternative host. That's why. Okay, so we have to cancel. I have to remove her.
Catherine,
if
are
I
you a panelist or a host?
No, I just logged into the Zoom account. I just resent her invitation, so she should be able to join with the new invitation.
I
If
don't
you
think
can hear me, Sylvia.
I don't think I got an invitation from you, Catherine, but I
No,
joined,
I
and
didn't either.
got promoted.
It would have been from the general Zoom account, the general KPPCSD, like, I think that it's Linnell's
2
name.
weeks ago.
Oh, that's too early if you sent it 2 weeks ago.
I know, that's why I couldn't find it either, and I gave up and just I logged in with the regular agenda.
Yeah.
Can we, I mean, Chris can't, none of us can see Chris, but he can hear us. So
I don't even
we
see
all
his
have the
name.
panelist invite and maybe, oh, there's.
Sylvia, are you there?
Yes, Sylvia's
Yes.
here.
But I
You're
don't see Chris
muted.
as an attendee. Is Chris?
I know, but he's on, apparently.
Chris is on, it says he is in as an attendee. The link that was sent to him was not for a panel. This is, yeah.
Okay, I just resent him the link, so he should be able to get on.
And it's from Zoom?
It's from Zoom.
But it'll
That-
say
that-
Linnell, right?
No, it just comes from Zoom, which is probably a bit of the
Correct.
maybe a problem.
He has his hand up. Maybe Chris is the KPPCSD.
I'm going to just send him that he should join from,
Yeah, I can't promote the KPPCSD person.
just give him a second. I think he'll get this message and he'll be on.
Yeah, he got off. It looks like KPPCSD got off.
Okay.
Attendees.
There he is.
There he is.
Hey, everybody. I
Hi.
apologize on behalf of the district for this bit of a second session where we've had problems with the Zoom. It is now 6:15 approximately, and I am board president Sylvia Hassai, and I'm going to call our special meeting on Thursday, May 13th, 2021 to order. I will start by asking the roll be taken.
Director Steppe,
Here.
Natoli,
Here.
Sheriff Swat,
Here.
President Hassai.
Here. And I will take this opportunity to announce that today I received the following letter, which has been also distributed to all board members from Director Modavi. Dear President Hassai, I am writing to inform you of my decision to resign my position as director on the Kensington Police Protection and Community Services District, KPPCSD Board of Directors, effective immediately. I wish the best successes for the KPPCSD and Kensington Police Department in the future. It has been a privilege to be on the board and serve the good residents of Kensington. If I can be of any assistance during the time it will take to fill the position, please don't hesitate to ask. Best regards, Cyrus Modavi. So that was received today, and therefore Director Modavi will not be joining us for today's meeting. I want to take this opportunity to thank Director Modavi publicly on behalf of the district, the residents, and the board for his public service. He brought a lot of passion and energy to the board, and we wish him all the best in his personal and professional endeavors going forward. We will not be able to discuss his resignation in great detail because it's not agendized, but we will try to arrange for a special session at our earliest convenience. I think for now, we'll just go ahead with the consent calendar, and that item is to appoint our general manager, Marty Brown, as the lead negotiator on any real or potential real estate negotiations as it relates to 217 and 303 Arlington Avenue and or other real estate transactions that may relate to the Kensington Police Department moving to a new facility. Is there any comment on the consent calendar or on items not on the agenda from the public or from the board?
There's one hand up.
Yes, I see that now, that Marilyn Stalin has raised her hand. Give me one, I see two participants. Okay. Great. Okay, I'm going to start with Marilyn Stalin. Marilyn, you have permission to talk. If you can unmute yourself, please.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Is this the appropriate time to read the letter that the Fix Our KPD group sent to the board?
If it is on the consent calendar item around the appointment of Marty as the lead negotiator, then it would be appropriate to comment at this time. If it is also on an item that's not on the agenda.
Okay, I think then it covers it. I'd like to read this letter on behalf of the Fix Our KPD group. And I'd just like to read this letter that was sent to the board members yesterday. Dear KPPCSD board directors, there is an emerging need for the KPPCSD board to unite around a plan and the next steps for the separation of the Kensington Police Department from the Kensington Fire Department in the Public Safety Building. As we stated previously, we believe that both the fire and police cannot be shoehorned in the same building without jeopardizing the investments already made by the board into a reinvigorated and professional police department. The KPD requires adequate space to provide quality law enforcement services, work with and among the public, and be held accountable for their actions through proper documentation. Without adequate space, we diminish the attractiveness and ability to retain quality officers, creating instability and saddling the department with higher personnel costs. We are advocating for KPPCSD to authorize the general manager to, 1, negotiate leased office space for KPD and administrative staff, and 2, contract with a municipal finance expert to model the future costs of and financing for a variety of scenarios, including a long-term lease with necessary building upgrades, purchasing new property, building a new building, and/or remodel existing buildings. We, the undersigned and members of the Fix Our KPD group, support this direction, and this was submitted. Thank you.
Thank you. The next hand raised is either Maria Mikale or Philip Faroko. I'm going to unmute you, and now you can unmute yourself.
Hi, I wasn't the consent calendar item that I wanted to comment on. I think now that I reread things, it might be the 7 o'clock meeting. It's the vehicle donation. Do I wait until the 7 o'clock meeting to say I would like to comment on that?
Yes, I mean, that item is not on this agenda, so you could technically comment on it, but if you want to comment on it as it's on the consent calendar for the next meeting, it would be for the next meeting.
Okay, I'll just wait then
Okay, thank you.
and do it properly.
Okay, those are the only hands that were raised at this time. So we would then make a motion, if I can get a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
Well, wait, what about board comments?
Well, we could do the motion and then do the comments, or we could do the comments first. So that's certainly appropriate either way.
Okay, whatever.
I'll take the motion if there is one.
Well, I mean, I'd like to pull the item from the consent calendar.
Okay, then now's the time to say that, of course. Okay, so we'll pull that item and it will now be up for discussion.
So my point is that the item actually should come after item number 2, because item number 2 is what do we do about the fire board kicking us out of the building and taking it for themselves. And one of the actions possibly is to appoint a negotiator, but the board hasn't decided that we're going to do that yet. And so to discuss or to have it on the agenda before number 2 is really out of order, and it would be very hard to talk about number one because it would instantly just blend into the discussion for number two. So I think we have to decide what we're going to do in response to the fire board's actions, which may include a lead negotiator in real estate negotiations. But to say that we're going to appoint one without having the discussion about what we're going to do is I think, incorrect. And I explained this to Marty when I wanted item number two. I said that should be the first item on the agenda, and then we could discuss anything else.
And I guess I misunderstood and I did it the traditional way where the consent calendar comes before discussion and action, but it's easy. You can just move the items around and move that to number two and make discussion and action item number one. And there's not any reason those
Okay,
items can't be
so
moved.
we'll go ahead and do that. So we're going to, as requested by Director Deppie, move the consent calendar to later, and it's been pulled anyway. And now we're going to go ahead and move discussion of the KFPD's recent action to renovate the public safety building for full fire department occupancy and provide policy direction to staff as necessary. So I will open it up for a board discussion. And Director Deppie, would you like to start off since you have requested the change?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that if there's any public comments for this item, that we take care of that first, and then we can have our discussion. Because the public wasn't allowed to comment on number two yet, right? Or were they?
They were
So
not.
if
It
I could
can
just-
be in either. It can be in either order.
Yeah, if I could just clarify, the actual public comment says public and all special meeting agenda items is right
Okay.
after roll call. So this would be the time to comment on anything on the special meeting.
Okay, so that's been done. Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone in the public who would like to comment? Okay. There are no hands up. So both directors, Natoli and Deppie, have their hands up. Director Deppie, would you like to start?
Sure. So my, besides negotiating for real estate, I think, at least when I went to the meeting, it was a little vague and I think a little disingenuous that part of the justification for not having us there was quoting some of the things that our chief has said and making it sound like we didn't want to be in the building either. And that we were essentially okay with his decision. And I spoke up in the meeting and said, I don't think they should be speaking for us, but I can't speak for the board. And that's why we're having this discussion right now. And my feeling, and the board can say yes or no, is that if we could get 1,200 square feet, which is our existing footprint, and Chief Schultz has already said this, that we'd be fine being in the building. And it's not clear to me that that was ever communicated to their board, because the day after our meeting, when that was said, they decided to have take the decision, or at least the agenda went out with the decision to have the meeting all for themselves. So I would like us to direct the general manager to write a letter to the fire district saying, if we could get 1,200 square feet, which is our existing footprint, that we'd be fine staying in the building, and that we're not the ones having any part of the decision to be kicked out of the building. That's solely on them. And it's not clear to me that that's been communicated to them, and they've never made it clear that, yes, we know that our board would be okay with the 1,200 square feet, but we can't give it to you. So I want to make sure that that's clear before we do anything else, because right now it's not clear to me. They've written a lot of materials. There's a huge FAQ, but there's nothing saying that yes, the KPPCSD needs 1,200 square feet. We just can't give it to them.
Okay. Director Natoli.
Well, I had a similar comment. I was confused by the agenda and having on the consent calendar, appointing our general manager as lead negotiator in real estate negotiations on a consent calendar. And I certainly agree with what Director Deppie just said, and I appreciate the challenge that the fire department has in trying to co-locate both the police and the fire. But I think they were getting pretty close, and I would like to see that pursued. And I would ask that our general manager pursue further discussions, and certainly indicating in a written communication the view that we hope that they would be able to work something out, because despite the optimistic view, I do think this is going to be very costly to the community.
Director Saras-Watt.
I concur with both Vice President Natoli and Director Deppie. I was very disappointed in the unilateral decision to remove us from the public safety building. And I think that the working assumption, which seems to be in some of our documentation, that the general manager of the fire board is working for the best interest of the police board, is not true, in my opinion. It may be thinking about us, but the police board is advocating on behalf of the police board, as is our general manager. So I agree that I think we should, in written communication, tell them that we would like to remain in the building, that we can work with 1,200 square feet. We invite further discussions, and look forward to working on next steps.
Okay. I would like to say that I was disappointed only in the sense that the discussion at the fire board meeting, now this is now 2 meetings ago. I don't know if anybody attended yesterday's meeting. Did anyone of our board members besides me attend? I could not see. Okay. My understanding after that meeting was that at least in the discussion, the board members said that they were willing to consider internal, they were looking at the outside walls and configuration, and still seemed open to, various internal configurations. However, when they finalized the motion, they did not edit their motion to indicate that, to say that they were really going forward with the outside envelope, and they left the fire only in there. But however, I will also say that it was, to me anyway, from the discussion, fairly clear that the board had made up their mind, and that it was not a matter of 1,200 of getting to 1,200 square feet, because they were anticipating even fewer square feet available than the last design that we had seen. So that was why I didn't necessarily think that there was a lot of hope for further negotiation, in spite of the discussion that had happened, which seemed to leave that door open, but then the final action did not. What else did I want to say about this? So it seems to me that they are talking about even less square footage than the last design had for us. And that I understood the appointment of Marty, including 217 Arlington, to include exactly what other directors are talking about, to continue to advocate for that discussion. That's one reason why that address in my mind was there, that those negotiations would include continuing to push the notion that is there a possibility of us being in that building, because that would still be the general preference for at least the board. So that's all I have to say. And General Manager Brown has her hand up, so I'd like to give her that opportunity to comment. And then Director Saras-Watt, is your hand up again, or is that from the previous time?
Uh-oh.
I'll be glad to comment afterwards.
Okay.
All I wanted to say was just quickly that even this is negotiations. So no matter how we want to define negotiations in closed session, the letter and directing the letter, unless every step that I take, I come back every time to the board and we just do it, which isn't really negotiations. It's much more of a fluid, iterative process. So I would just like to urge the board that if this is part of that process, that's fine, but I still see that this is just another step in negotiations, and I would still need to be appointed a lead negotiator, and then unless, again, it's going to be very prescriptive and I'm just going to do one task and then come back and then get direction for the next task. So I see it as all part of an iterative process, pretty similar to how President Hassai just described it. Thank you.
Director Saraswat.
Sorry. I agree with you, Marty, that yes, you would still need to be appointed lead negotiator. I'm just hoping that we can agree here, either through a motion or just through general consensus, that the position of this board is that we wish to remain first and foremost in the building, that we have offered to remain in the building with an offer of 1,200 square feet or approximately, and that any decision to remove us completely is the decision solely of the fire board and not of the KPPCSD.
Director Deppie.
Right. So I agree with what a couple of things. One, I agree with what Director Natoli said, that we are close on the design a number of times, and I think we're still probably close. So that to say for them, the fire board, to talk about that we're okay with this, or that we can't make it work, is just wrong. So I would also ask that in your letter to them, Marty, that you direct the general manager to stop presenting our views as fact. And if he can speak for their board, but he doesn't speak for our board. So when he puts together FAQs or whatever presentations, if he wants to have references to something that our board feels or believes in, then he should check with us first. But to just start writing things down and start quoting our chief of police, possibly out of context and all sorts of things, is just, I would want that part of the communications, is to have them, they speak for their board, we speak for our board, and just have them stop writing things as if we agreed with it or concurred with it. But that's not the case.
Okay. So we've had a full discussion, and I think we will, if we go into the consent calendar, we're able to go into closed session to discuss real estate negotiations, which this is all part of. And to protect the interests of the district, these should be held in private. So I think our discussion has been full and clear. We've already given some direction to Marty. I don't see any opposition to what has been said so far, representing the point of view, the official point of view of the board around our desire to have tried to make that work with 1,200 square feet, and to just urge some caution around, how things are expressed. Does anyone have anything else they want to say about the public safety? Any more board comments? And Marty, is your hand up again? Okay, General Manager Brown.
Just very quickly, I wanted to point out that if we are, if the board is going to go into closed session to have the conversation about what's on that agenda item, then to appoint me lead negotiator needs to happen prior to closed session. That's what I've been directed by the district's council. So just want to make sure that was clear.
Yes, it is clear. So we're going to close the discussion, and we have publicly provided some policy direction related to this item around, as I have already described. I see I see consensus around that. Director Deppie, you have anything else you want to say? You're muted. You're muted. You've been
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, no, so yeah. Computers, what are you gonna do? Just appointing the negotiator doesn't necessarily give them carte blanche authority. We still have to give the parameters for what they're negotiating and everything.
Right, which is what we'll be doing in closed
right.
session.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to close this discussion and we are going to go back and take the consent calendar item. And I'm asking again for a motion to adopt the consent calendar item, which we have already,
It was pulled.
yes, and now we're going back to it.
Okay.
I just said we're closing the discussion on the public safety building. Okay, and now we're going to go back to the consent calendar item, which was pulled and discussed as part of this as well. And is there a motion to adopt the consent calendar item, which is to appoint General Manager Marty Brown, lead negotiator, any real or potential real estate negotiations as it relates to 217 and 303 Arlington Avenue, and or any other real estate transactions that may relate to the Kensington Police Department moving to a new facility.
I guess my problem, President Hassai, is that I have some concerns about it and its scope. So I'm happy to consider voting for our general manager as the lead negotiator for something, but I'd like the discussion of the something to be in closed session.
I believe that we have to list the items publicly. They can't just, the something can't just be discussed privately. We have to say specifically what those items are.
Okay, well, my concern is that Directors Deppie and Sheriff Watt did a study of potential properties within Kensington. I don't know if that was reviewed. Somehow there's been this focus at 303 Arlington, which has some really attractive things about it, but also some downsides. And I don't want to have this laser focus on 303 to be at the exclusion of some other potential properties.
So you
I'd
see
like
there
to-
is a broad and or other real estate transactions. So that is there for that purpose.
All right, that is my concern, so, okay.
But I believe that hopefully will address it.
Could I say something? If we can say any other real estate transactions, if there's a sort of a carte blanche, why do we need to name any of them in the first place?
I think we can't name them all because that would have been too extensive. So those were two that have been prominent in previous public discussions. So that's why those two were named. And that's why there's flexibility on the others.
But so we don't have to even agree to 217 or 303 if we don't want to.
Marty, I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Anne's finally here.
I
Oh,
do, and I'd like Anne to comment. She's just got here and she's been promoted. Thank you, Anne.
And I'm not sure if you've heard any of this discussion. Okay, you have. So you're still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so the Brown Act does require that the properties to be negotiated over be specified in public session before the negotiator can negotiate on behalf of the district. Now, that said, there's nothing keeping the negotiator from coming back and saying, here's what I can do on these properties. May I suggest that you also allow me to look at these other properties? This doesn't commit the board to any particular property, and it doesn't exclude the possibility of looking at other properties. It just means that Marty could now go forward and start negotiations for these two.
Will she have to come back if
Oh.
another property?
Marty would have to come back if we can identify another property to negotiate for. And Marty would also have to come back before the district could be committed to any property at all. So this is not your last bite at the apple. It's not the last time this will be discussed in public session. It's just a way to get Marty started.
But again, the reason that this is done is to protect the interests of the district, and having these conversations in public is sometimes detrimental to our interest in these negotiations. So that's why we need to move to closed session after this
Exactly right.
appointment.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the consent calendar.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Great. ask the clerk to call the roll if she would. You're muted. I can do it. It's fine. Director Deppie,
Aye.
Director Natoli,
Aye.
Director Sherris-Watt,
Yes.
and I vote yes. And apologies, it's Vice President Natoli. I apologize for that. So the motion carries for, and I'm not sure how we express Director Modavi's absence as he has resigned his position. So is it 4-0, I guess, or
Yes, 4-0.
4-0. All right, so with that, we're going to be moving into closed session. And any members of the public who wish to come back, this would be the same link at 7 o'clock is our estimated time to come back if we can, and we may be late. This line is going to remain open, so you're welcome to just turn your camera and sound off and keep it on. We will be moving to a separate private link for our closed
Catherine,
session.
can you send me the email for the panelists? Because I don't believe I got that email.
You mean
the
to come back to
7
public
o'clock.
session?
For the
To
7
come
o'clock
back?
meeting. Yeah,
Sure, yeah,
thanks.
but you have the separate email from
Right.
Marty for the
That's right.
separate meeting.
And I'm going
Okay,
to leave this meeting right now. Okay,
okay,
thanks.
great, okay.